Happy Wednesday! So, if you haven't watched any of the other coaching tips this week, I am using the Rebel deck all week because it is sassy, spunky, and it seemed like a good way to ring in the new year. Also, this is the last week to register for the Becoming Unfuckwithable 12-week coaching course. And if you're not quite ready to commit to 12 weeks, I do have a 21-day challenge coming out about the middle of January. About the time people fall off the wagon on their resolutions. So, all right, what is our tip for? Whoa, that was messy. Get the fuck out of your head. Get in your heart. It misses you. And it's interesting that this comes up today because we were talking about obsessive thoughts earlier in the week, and uh, really getting in touch with your intuition and listening to your inner voice, because truly no one can give you better advice than your intuition can. And I'm sorry. Quit. Hey, stop. Our puppy's behind me and she's just being extremely obnoxious. So, anyway, when we get stuck in our head, because we think so many times, we think that, we have to come up with a solution, we have to come up with a plan, we have to come up with a calm down. Because the more you roll something around in your head, the less likely you are to really get a good plan. When we're in a situation where we're stuck in our head and we're thinking. If you've ever noticed, like, you're trying to think of the name of a movie or something, you're in a conversation, you're like, oh, that movie, it came out, I can't think of the name of it. And then you let it go. You're not in the conversation anymore. It's not a big deal. 3 hours later, when you're walking down the street, all of a sudden the name of the movie comes to you. Because so many times the way our brains work is very interesting. But when you're pushing for something, and it has a lot to do with energy, like magnets. Like when you're pushing for something, it forces it away. When you relax and you get in this receptive mode, which you're walking down the street, you're not thinking about the movie, you're not trying to come up with a solution, you're not trying to think of the answer, boom, there it is. Because you're receptive. Your brain's not garbled up and all tense, and you're not just emotionally. When you're in your head and obsessing over something, your whole physiology changes. Anxiety, stress, uh, worry, uncertainty, those can cause us to get into this state where our brain releases chemicals that create stress in the body, that can lead to illness, disease. I mean, it's amazing what our bodies do. But the beauty is we have the ability to change the way we respond to things because we choose our emotions after the thought comes into our head. Mind you, it's quick. But an example I like to use, if you're walking down the street with Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter, and a crocodile comes running up, you're terrified, right? Because you see the crocodile as a threat. Steve Irwin starts laughing and wrestles it down and pins it because he doesn't see the crocodile as a threat. And the reason I use that analogy, it's kind of extreme. I think most of us should see a crocodile as a threat. However, we choose how we respond emotionally. And they've actually done studies on how we experience emotions. So there's an incident, you have a thought, you recognize the incident, and in that split moment, your body produces an emotion. But you choose the emotion. And depending on how you feel about yourself and your ability to respond to things, there's so much that goes into how our emotions work, how our brain works, how we respond to things, and becoming aware of that. So if you're in your head trying to solve a problem, another thing that is very good, get in your heart. If you're just, even if you're just feeling anxious and you're not sure why, if you're unsettled, if you're off balance, or if you're trying to figure something out, put your hand over your heart, close your eyes, and if you can, I mean, go off by yourself for a few minutes, take about 2 minutes, and when you breathe in, imagine yourself breathing into your heart space. Breathe out, breathe into your heart space. What that does is it aligns your head and your heart. You calm down, it lowers your heartbeat, your blood pressure, all of it settles everything. In that quiet space, in that quiet moment, that's where you find solutions. Because if you've got all that chatter going on up in your head, you can't hear over it. If you've ever been at a party where everybody's talking and you start to say something and you get cut off, get cut off, get cut off, that's what's happening to your solution. It's getting lost in the noise. No one's hearing it because there's so many other voices. The voice of your intuition, the voice of your inner knowing is very quiet. The voice of the subconscious, the voice of the collective, that radio that we end up dialing into with the random thoughts that pop in your head all day, those are loud, kind of obnoxious. And a lot of times that's where that negative Nancy, the lies and deceptive thoughts come in from, is you're just picking up on this radio signal. And a lot of people don't realize we are not our thoughts. We are not the thinker. We're the observer. So by getting out of your head and not listening to all the chatter, get in your heart because you're going to get the best guidance from you because you know you the best. And your intuition, your higher mind, higher guidance will give you better answers every time than going to someone else or, you know, just ruminating about it in your head. So there's a lot on this topic, and this is something that I could go on forever with because that's what I've specialized in is that reprogramming of the mind, calming the thoughts, following intuition, being authentic to you. Just like you wouldn't go to your broke friend to get advice about money, the people around you typically are where you got your dysfunction. And that's why I encourage people to get in touch with their inner self, their intuition, their inner knowing, because you have the best answers for you. So get out of your head and get into your heart. That'll be the best answer you'll find. I hope this helps. I will talk to you soon. Love and light.